Well, I'll be a little bit more ambitious today, and what I'm making for dinner is choucroute garnie. It's not exactly Alsacien because I'm not using some of the typical cold cuts that come from Alsace. But what I have here is definitely a making of one. So here we go. I'll tell you what I got for ingredients. This is regular sauerkraut bought in the store. This is my own sauerkraut I fermented here. And then you can see I have some onions, potatoes, carrot, garlic, an apple, and all those different meats. So now all I need to do is get this cut. So here we go. That's probably, and so this is what I have here is one onion and 3 cloves of garlic, 5 potatoes, one apple, and maybe 2 pounds altogether of uh, sauerkraut. So now I'm gonna add this to my pan of that is heating up right now on the stove, which is what I'm using for shortening is duck fat. And duck fat happened to be very delicious, especially with something smoked or pork, even anything or potatoes, absolutely divine potatoes that come from with cooked with duck fat. Now I'll cut this carrot in one of my favorite ways, which is called the Chinese roll cut. So what you end up with, very much all the same cuts, yet they're not rounded, and very preferable when you do stir frying because those don't have one surface, two surfaces. It has more than that, so it will not get stuck to a pan or cook too much on one side and not enough on the other. Then the other thing I'm gonna add to it is an apple that happens to be a mac, and so and that's what I will add pretty much later on because I don't want it to be too mushy, and that's what would happen. So what we got here is eight. Cut the apples in eight, and by removing the core first, and then cut each one in half. So this is all to be added later. Right now my onions are sauteing, and I'm going to reduce the heat because I don't really want them too caramelized. I want them to be more or less smothered. And actually the whole beauty in this dish is when the sauerkraut gets smothered, meaning it gets cooked to the point where it gets very, very tender and almost like gem-like. And so that's my other stuff here that's ready for me. And now I have the potatoes that are gonna be ready. And the potatoes I'm gonna cook partially in salted water and add them only at the end because I don't want them to get too mushy, and I might even serve them I might even serve them separately. And I'll do this. The carrot will go in, so we're ready now. Now we need to cut up my meat. So, yeah, this is sardarelli. It's a Russian veal sausage, and I don't have access to Alsatian cold cuts, but I think those would do very well as substitutes. So, and so this is a Russian pork sausage, smoked. This one is not smoked. This is smoked. So now we have that, and we have some smoked ribs. And we have what's called Russian hunter's sausage. That's another variety of sausages. I don't know how many of you people are familiar with Eastern European sausage making and cold cuts and all this. They are very, very good with that stuff. It's come from the fact that when you need to preserve food for a long time, for long winters, so you come up with ways to preserve it. So this is what do you call it? It's a pork back, and it's basically thick bacon, and that's going to go in two chunks like this, and with the skin on, and the skin will become very much soft and very pleasant to eat. And this is the hunter sausage. So now I have all my cold cuts ready. So and everything is sauteing over there nicely. And here we go. So now I'll bring this over here, and my onions looking just right now. Now another minute or so, and then I will add the cold cuts, and before that I'll add the carrot, and the sauerkraut will come next after the carrot. So the carrot went in, and now what I need to do is to let this soften somewhat. And I advise not to put garlic in at the beginning whenever you begin to saute onions for any kind of recipe, and it calls for onions and garlic. Always add the garlic later, and because it will obviously burn. And right now this is sauteing, and now I just need my garlic. So I have 3 cloves of garlic. This is one easy way to peel a garlic. It's you banged it, and then the peel comes right off. And in this case, because it's going to cook for such a long time, I don't mind to have the garlic sliced just very, very thin, like as thinly as you can do this. And if it was something that will not be for long cooking, or if it's for something like a salad, I always obviously prefer to make it very, very soft. I mean very chopped or even pulverized. So now the garlic going to go in with the onions and the carrot. And at this point and now I don't really need to cook the garlic for too long. As soon as I begin to smell it in the air, it's pretty much okay. So and I do smell it. It smells wonderful. And I need few things to add to it. Mainly, it will be pepper and caraway seed. It also can be juniper berry is another thing you can add to this dish. So now here goes this sauerkraut. And it has to have a sufficient amount of fat in there, so otherwise it's meat dead, so it adds a lot of flavor, obviously. So now I have all this here. My cabbage, my sauerkrauts are cooking right there. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add some Rieslings to it. About a good cup and a half, or maybe even more, because this is now going to cook for maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours in the oven. So this is all now in here, and it absolutely smells divine. And okay, So now I'm gonna put all my meats in here. All right, and then just scatter the rest of the cold cuts around. And in this stage I will add a little bit chicken stock to it, so because it will take, as I said, it's going to be for a long time in the oven, therefore it will all pretty much evaporate. And there you go, this is what it's going to look like. And now all it has to do is go in the oven, and I will post a picture of the finished product later.